Says live video is starting. Oh, it says we're live now. Okay,
Mhm.
let me say hi to everyone. This is Gardening Tips Live for September 6th, 2025. And my name is Amy Hahn, and I'm a Knox County Master Gardener, and I'm wearing the shirt to prove it. I usually don't on Saturday mornings. Um, and I'm joined by my friends and fellow Master Gardeners, Lee Cheek, Margot Emery, Toby Johnson, and Brian Townsend.
We're all the gang's all
Hey.
here.
Okay. And we are here and we're having a good morning. Um, I think it rained last night because everything's really wet at my house. I don't know about
There was
everyone else.
I did our welcome post last night after roughly around 2 to 4 o'clock this morning. Uh, and I posted weather alert because there were some nasty storms that were passing through,
Mhm.
similar to what we had Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
And I didn't get a drop,
You didn't
but it
get a
What?
was
drop? Okay. Everything is really wet here, but
yep.
I usually have a weather station, and our weather station, the rain gauge died.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
And my husband opened it up and tried to get it
Our weather.
working, and it's not working. And so we've actually ordered a new weather station. Well,
Owie.
it was like 3 or 4 years old.
Oh,
And, we looked up, and that really does seem to be about how long they last. Let's see, has someone pinned? Oh, we're pinned and featured. Awesome. I love it when the whole crew is here and, everyone can just do different jobs while things are happening.
I'm
You all
not
don't
here.
get to see it in the background there, but everyone who's on the screen sort of does additional stuff. Um, I think me and Brian do most of the talking if we're on, and then everyone else comes in when they have questions or, we're saying something that needs clarification. So that's always interesting. It makes the show more interesting, but it also makes it so that like the person who's doing most of the conversation doesn't have to go back and forth between the conversation and their computer, which can be really distracting. Okay, I'm gonna get where I can watch the comments. And that always, almost always, you get a little bit of us talking.
Somebody's got it on Facebook. I could hear it in the background.
Yeah, did someone, okay, so we've got,
Guilty as charged.
and I'm
I
gonna
turned it
do
off.
add
I
everyone
just
to.
unplugged my trackpad and for some reason it decided that it was going to change my Facebook. I don't.
Oh no,
I was just charging my
sometimes.
trackpad and unplugged it and I was like, okay. All right.
Yeah, sometimes devices. Someone I worked with, had their computer was doing weird things over an extended amount of time. And then we realized her old wireless keyboard was still turned on and had and connected to her computer, but it was set in a place that sometimes things were put on top of it.
Oh no.
And her computer would all of a sudden start like typing random letters, it felt like. And then we finally realized there was this other keyboard, just sitting there. And so it was really crazy for a while and, sort of disorienting.
Yeah, like what's happening? There's a
Yeah,
ghost
what's
and
going
there's a
on
ghost
here?
in the house.
Yeah. So some of the big news, right now is we're getting into the end of the season and it feels like we've jumped ahead, the past few weeks, it feels like we've jumped ahead weather-wise like a month from what's been normal.
Mhm.
Uh, we've had some really cool nights and
Yeah. I
usually
remember
that
I
doesn't.
remember in 2016, we had 90-degree weather in November.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean we still won't this year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But, we usually, I know Brian's been working at the fair. Tennessee Valley Fair started last night. And so Master Gardeners have two tables at the fair. one in the Jacob building and one at the Kerr building. And Brian's been at that table in the Kerr building for I don't even know how many years.
I started in 2014.
Okay, since 2014. And most years the weather breaks during the week of the fair.
Yeah.
So during the first weekend of the fair, it's usually really hot and pretty miserable. And then the second weekend of the fair, you're wearing jackets. And that's been pretty regular, during the past few years. But this year,
Well, it was
well,
almost 90
yesterday,
degrees yesterday.
it got hot yesterday. But
Yeah.
let's look at, I pulled up the forecast, because I thought it was interesting to look at. I mean, we're not supposed to get too much rain, this will be great weather to go to the fair.
Yes.
Just really wonderful. I'm trying to get my screen to do what I want it to so that I can see the other people on the team. Well, I can also see what I'm sharing. Okay, so, if you look at it, there's a fair bit of rain predicted for today. And since I'm in Lenore City, I do have Lenore City as my, location. But Knoxville is usually very similar. But we're having nights in the upper 50s and, daytime temperatures that are going up into the upper 70s and just tapping on 80. And so that's just unusual. We're usually still having hotter days. But that'll make the Kerr building more comfortable. It doesn't have air conditioning.
Right.
But if you go to the fair, be sure to come by and say hi. There are people at the going to be people at the Master Gardener table in the Jacob building starting at 10 o'clock. And then Brian will be at the Kerr building. What is it? You'll be there probably by noon or 1.
Right. No, as soon as I can leave here, yes.
Okay. So be sure to come and say hi. Some folks that are a part of the group came by and said hi yesterday, and it's always a
Yeah.
joy to see your faces and
Yes.
really know you're real people. I know some of you, when you're watching, you comment, but that's not the same as really saying hello and getting to meet you because we care about everyone who's out there and who's watching, and even the folks who watch later. And so just what is it? Come and say hi. Tennessee Valley Fair. Tuesday is Senior Day. And so I think if you're 65 or older, you actually can get into the fair free.
Ooh.
Oh, I thought it was when you graduated from high school.
Oh, no.
Oh, rats.
Yeah. So that's a great day to come out. And if you're a garden, if you have a garden, to enter the vegetable contests, you just bring them in Tuesday morning. And I don't exactly remember the timing of that. It is on the fair site under the competitions, horticulture competitions, and you can bring those Tuesday morning, and you only have to bring 2 of each thing. Just make sure what you're bringing is on their list. Let's see. Maybe I should go to it. Should I go to it?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Miss Amy, while you're doing that, I would want to say, for folks that feel awkward about growing vegetables, much less even showing it right there, for y'all to come out and say howdy and share what
Yes.
you have right there, that is a
Oh.
major boost. And we have fellow gardeners, not just master gardeners, but fellow gardeners that we
Mhm.
all get together and we share our secret techniques on how
Yes.
to grow cucumbers or whatever else. It doesn't matter.
Right, we share with each other, and it's really fun. One thing to know about during the fair, there are so many people with cell phones that the cell service pretty much drops entirely during the fair. So if you do have pictures you want to show us, be sure they're loaded onto your phone because you probably won't be able to stream them. Okay, so this is the horticulture For the general horticulture, you would have had to already have dropped off your stuff, because that was most of the drop-offs were Thursday. But the senior, let me get down to the senior. Here it is. So it's best pair of fruits and vegetables, senior citizens special. Oh, you only have to be 60 or older for that.
Oh,
I-
Lord.
I think you have to be 65 to get free entry. But, well, we might have to look at that. Okay, so so you must have your stuff in by 11 on Tuesday to enter. So they've got tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, pear tomatoes, corn ears in the shuck, okra. I'm not going to read the whole list, but there's a whole
Wow.
big list of stuff that you could enter, though some of them I'm not sure. This really isn't rhubarb season, so I'm not sure where you'd get rhubarb,
Yeah.
but oh, lima beans in pod. See, next year I'm gonna enter that in the senior. This year, I looked at, oh, and the other thing you can do is you can look and see what the winning entries on the general horticulture contest looked like. And so you'll have a better idea. I mean, I realized even though my lima beans didn't look good, for the general competition, you had to enter 10 pods. Okay, so that's listed further up in the thing. I think it's 10 pods or 20 immature beans. If I had entered either of those, I would have at least won third place. And so I should have entered,
Yeah.
but I didn't. And then there is a small cash prize. So for third place, you get $8.
You could buy a couple seed packets
I know. Yeah.
for
And
next
same thing
year.
for the seniors. So, yeah, if you have some vegetables and you are over 660 or over, be sure to, bring some stuff and see if you can win some prizes. It
So
is,
Amy, what goes into best exhibitor? Is that like,
I have no idea.
I wonder if it's like your how you set stuff up, or if it's that you're winning a bunch of categories.
Let's see. Oh, judged on points. So if you
Okay,
get a first place, you get 5 points, second place. So that's for this category.
got it.
So I
So
wonder if there's,
the more you,
oh, they have the same thing for every category.
so the more you
Enter.
enter, the more chance you have to win best exhibitor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And best exhibitor gets $25.
Hey, that's a lot of seeds.
Yeah, that's a lot of seeds.
That's a new tool. That is a new tool. That's a
Yeah.
fancy tool.
Well, and if you're getting best exhibitor, you've gotten some like first and second. So you're
So
getting,
you are like getting like some kind of
yeah,
exceptional tool.
right, you're getting some money there. So, not that I've ever entered the fair for the money I get, but
It's
it
the
is kind of a
glory, Amy.
nice extra
It's
reward.
it's the ribbons.
The
It's the
ribbons, I
ribbons.
have some ribbons. I don't have a ton of ribbons, but yeah. So, yeah, if you come to the fair, come say hi. Oh, if you have any questions right now and are watching live, be sure to put them in the comments. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to the slideshow I had put together. Okay, so weather, when the temperatures are like this, your plants are going to slow down growing. Things aren't going to ripen very fast. I still have a few cucumbers out there, and they are not, what is it? In the heat of summer, if I didn't go out every day, they would grow, bigger than I wanted to. It's not so much the longer, it's the bigger in diameter, for me. I like skinny cucumbers.
How's the pickle worms doing this year?
I haven't seen any,
Nice.
which I am thrilled with. It's a pest, the pickle worm is a pest on cucumbers and some of the squash. And they don't overwinter here in Tennessee,
Yeah.
but over the summer they move further north from Florida. And so I'm wondering if they had harsher weather in
Yeah.
the area that they overwinter and they just had further to come this year, which I am not upset with. Because usually around mid-August,
Yes.
the pickle worms just, their caterpillars burrow into your cucumber and start eating it from the inside out. And it just makes eating cucumbers not as wonderful an experience.
Right.
I start
Really?
Yeah,
slicing my
I
cucumbers.
used to pick a bunch and get ready for canning, and I'd put
Yeah.
them in my sink and, get wash them off and let them sit there for a while, and the pickle worms would start to come out. And I'd realize, all right, these are not getting canned. I don't know. I got to be really careful here.
Yeah.
Like mezcal with the worm at the bottom of the bottle.
Yeah. I mean, they're not gonna hurt you. If
Oh,
and if you eat
extra
it, it's a little
protein.
right, extra protein, but just the thought.
Your family and friends that you give your canned goods to are never going to trust you again.
Right, yeah. Just not a good look.
No, it's not a good look.
Oh, okay. So speaking of weather, this is Lee. Tell us about what happened at your house.
Okay, this is actually at my church.
Oh, at your church.
Where
Okay.
where we have our community garden. And I
Mhm.
was out in the garden when the storm hit on Thursday.
Oh gosh.
And
Howie.
and so this huge limb came down.
Mm.
One of the tarps that I had covering some stuff ended up way up in one of the big trees.
Oh gosh.
You know,
Mhm.
I went around the neighborhood trying to find it, and then one of our staff members saw it up in the tree.
Oh gosh. So what part of Knoxville is that?
This is Bearden. It's on South
Okay.
Avenue. It's
Yeah,
Bearden
'cause
United Methodist Church. Yeah,
okay. So I
yeah.
guess that area got hit with some really bad winds.
Yes, we did. And the funny thing about it was, the storm was running from east to west,
Right.
Mhm.
but the
No.
wind was going from um, east to west, and it was a big whirl. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I saw a
there were
picture.
leaves everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw a picture that
branches.
showed like the start of a funnel cloud.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think anything hit the ground, but it did cause some damage some
Yeah,
places.
I
The
had
wind.
lots of branches around my house. Yep. But they were
Mhm.
small branches, not big like this guy.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one must have had, well, it looks like that did have some damage
Yeah.
already. It's
Hmm.
not anything you could have seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, there was already a fair bit of rotting going
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah.
And so that's why that branch let loose.
Yep.
You talking about me again?
No, one of our volunteers, who's actually, I think she's at the fair tomorrow, Rosa, she had a branch fall on her car, and
Oh,
I don't
no.
think it broke the windshield.
Oh.
I don't think it did major body damage, but um, she had to get a rental car because they told her not to drive it because when the windshield's cracked, if you drive it, it's not secure in its frame, and
Oh,
it can
no.
actually blow
Yeah,
in on you.
we
If
also
it's
had
significantly cracked.
we had pea-size hail
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
also too.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to move on to a totally different subject.
Something happy. So this is my evening primrose, which also is called 9 o'clock or Nicodemus because it starts blooming at 9 o'clock at night and blooms till 9 in the morning. And so I took this picture about 8 o'clock this morning. Yeah, it's a lovely native
Mhm.
that we do. Um, uh, oh,
You want me to go to the next one?
sure.
Okay.
Okay. And then this is a blue mist flower, another nice native. that blooms in the fall.
Okay. Yeah, and you've got some other nice things around it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and now there's my tomato plants.
mm-hmm.
So my tomato plants are looking really rough, but you can see all the fruit on them.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the fruit I'm picking right now is damaged. And so there's two things doing the damage.
Mhm.
There's these creatures. Um, this is an adult. There's a couple adults in this picture. They're called leaf-footed bugs. And so if you look at their leg, I have a better picture that shows their legs. Um, they have it almost looks like a leaf. And so these are the nymphs, and so they're different stages of nymphs. And they are all sucking the juice out of my tomatoes. And it causes little white patches under the skin of the tomato,
Mm.
and it'll make it go bad faster. And just not as nice a tomato. So there's the adult, just a better picture. You can see that his foot very much looks like a leaf. And so that's what he looks like. And so they have, dark bodies, and they have a white band going across their abdomen. And they came in a few years ago. They are from Asia. And hopefully our birds and other creatures will really get a taste for them. I know in probably about 10 years ago, um, we had another pest that came into our area that was really wreaking havoc with people's tomatoes, and it was the brown marmorated stink bug. And I do see them every so often now, but those first couple years they were here in the Knoxville area, they were horrible. And I believe some of our birds and other creatures have decided they're rather tasty.
Yeah.
And so they're not the problem they were. And I hope the same thing happens with the leaf-footed bugs. Because those kind of stink bugs, they're actually called true bugs. And when they get to be adults, they're really hard to kill, even with pesticides. And I don't like using pesticides in my garden. That
Mhm.
is just my personal feeling. And so, but even with pesticides, they're hard to kill. So I would like the natural world to take care of them. And okay, this is another pest that is on tomatoes quite often. And you can see it's eaten off a lot of the branches. This is a tomato hornworm. It might actually be a tobacco hornworm. They both eat tomato plants. They look very, very similar. Excuse me. And I actually have to go and look up the comparison charts to be able to tell which one is which. But they do exactly the same thing. So they're the hornworms. And so this one is basically fully grown. And there was another one here that when I saw it and it was the size of that other one, I didn't see these white cocoons on it. But you can see the hornworm is all shriveled up. And these cocoons are of from a parasitic wasp that lays their eggs, and then their larvae develop inside the hornworm.
Oof.
Yeah. So that is pretty rough. But so
I love how you can find like this stuff in your garden. Like you have
yeah.
such an eagle eye for finding like interesting insect stuff.
Yeah. What is it? Having an eye for stuff. It's like learning plant identification at 60 miles an hour. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
over time you develop an eye for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm always keeping my eye out for interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
And bugs are one of those interesting things. Okay, this is Lee's.
Yeah, so this week we were doing some fall planting in my community garden. And so we planted some kale and some collard. That was given to me from UT Gardens, where they were planting kale, collards, and
Mhm.
kohlrabi this week.
So
Uh,
this would be those ones,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And are these,
I was also planting some black-eyed Susans.
oh,
Um,
nice.
that next fall there'll be some nice pollinator uh,
Mm-hmm.
food.
Nice.
Yeah, and then yeah, I think got a basil in there too. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect the basil to last too long.
No, the basil's not going to last very long, but it was a cutting that I did from a vacation Bible school
Oh,
lesson.
nice.
And it took root in the water. And
Uh-huh.
I said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to
I would
plant
be tempted to bring that inside and put it in a window.
you."
Because, well, when the temperatures get under about 50,
Right, exactly.
basil really suffers.
Right, yeah. So
And much
it
lower
does.
than that, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, this is a plant that I was really excited about having and planting, and I'm getting a little sad. This is a Roselle hibiscus,
Hmm.
and it's what they make the red zinger teas with, or the red hibiscus teas. But it's got a flower, and this thing hasn't even made flower buds. And I have a couple more in other places, and they haven't made flower buds either. And what I learned recently is that it's actually daylight sensitive, and it starts to make its flowers when the days are getting shorter. And so I think if you look really close, I think right in here it's starting to make its flower buds, but with as cool as the weather has been, I don't know. Um, the part you make the tea from is actually, so it makes the flower, and then the base of the flower is, oh, so you have the flower here, and then you have the flower fades and falls off, and it's that base of the flower part, the calyx, which is actually what you use for the tea. So I am thinking I might not get tea, but I've got this one in the pot, and I'm planning to bring it in over the winter. And so maybe it'll make me some flowers and some calyxes to make my tea out of. Let's see. Oh, this is going into my main vegetable garden area. I have a cattle panel arch, and I've got purple hyacinth beans that are trying to turn it into a secret garden.
Huh.
So they are growing down and trying to close off the opening. And so there's the purple hyacinth bean has finally started blooming. And so they are a lovely, just a really lovely plant in the fall. And most years they bloom earlier. Now, this is another plant I've got on one of my arch trellises. This is a red lima bean. I've talked about it before, but just wanted to show you how beautiful it is. Should have taken some of them into the fair. Oh well, I didn't. Okay, my other beans haven't been doing so well. So this is the October bean. That's the Roger Newsome. That's an heirloom. And it's dropped most of its leaves, has a few on top, and is finally starting to set some beans. Uh, it seems to be heat sensitive. That a lot of beans won't set bean pods if the temperature is over 85. And this one definitely seems to be one of those. So now that the weather's cooled a little bit, I'm getting some pods. But I think I'm going to try some other heirlooms. Some of them will set pods at hotter temperatures. And I think with the way our weather's going, we're going to need that. This right here that has all the leaves is actually a southern pea called whippoorwill pea. And so it has grown well, and I'm getting some pods off of that. And it doesn't seem to be affected by the heat. It actually seems to enjoy it. Okay, I noticed in our group, someone showed a picture of a big spider web, and they
Yeah.
asked, "Who's making it?" Well, this is an orb weaver. I can't tell you which one it is, but there are several different orb weavers, and those are the ones that do the circular webs.
Mm.
And so this is one of them, the black and yellow garden spiders, which I am not seeing any of in my yard this year, and I usually know where about 3 or 4 of them are. So I'm not sure what's happened this year. But this is a different orb weaver, and he's got his lunch right there. You usually don't see the spider itself unless it's wrapping up some prey. The spider will hang out at the very edge of the web in a place where it feels safe from birds and mostly birds, and it'll keep a foot on its web, so when something gets in its web, it can feel it, and it'll come and wrap it up. So most of the time you won't see the spider when you see the web. If you can get a good picture of what the web looks like, there are some web identification sites out there, but I think you do have to get a really good picture of the web, and I don't know how much it narrows it down.
No. And it can't be too old.
Right, the web can't be too old. Yeah. And a lot of the orb weavers take their web down, every day and build a new one.
Right.
Yeah. So they put a lot of energy into making their web. I just think they're really interesting. Okay, just another interesting thing. This was at Bob Leonard Park in Farragut. And so there were just some mushroom clusters. Don't know what kind they are, but they're just interesting. They were just down the hill, and you could see them. And there were more patches of the mushrooms going back. The rain we've been having is probably a large part of
Yep.
them fruiting. The mushrooms you see are actually the fruit of the mycelium that lives in the soil. Okay. Oh, this was at UT Gardens, and someone said, "There's a turtle." And so I turned around and took a picture of it. So this is a nice little turtle, and he was on the move. You almost never see a turtle moving fast, but he was moving fast for a turtle. And also in this picture, there are some plants that were intentionally planted that are volunteering, and they volunteer all over the gardens. So this right here is called senna, and it grows into a pretty large plant and has yellow flowers, and it's SENNA. And it's a native and beneficial for pollinators. And they planted it probably 100 or so feet from here in a pollinator patch where they were would come periodically, and they would count all the pollinators they would see on like 4 different plants. And so this was one of the plants in that experiment. And it escaped, and its seed is everywhere in UT Gardens now. This looks like a volunteer basil. I'm not sure which one it is, but I know they plant a lot of basils in the garden, and they're very easy to pull out if you do have some basils that come up as volunteers.
They're also a nice bug repellent. I always plant basil with my tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably only act as a bug repellent if you crush them and rub them on yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it helps keep the bugs off of my tomato plants.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what it might be doing is confusing them by having different
Smells.
Odors.
different smells.
Mhm.
Yeah. Close
Yeah.
by.
Yeah, I also plant marigolds too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I plant the marigolds too, and I've done some research on it, and okay, so we know that when you plant different species of plants together, that tends to help confuse the pests.
Right.
And so they don't find your plant. But the marigolds also attract a lot of beneficial insects. And so I think it's actually they attract beneficials and they take care of, pest insects before you even see them, more than it repelling the pest insects. Because they've done experiments to see if they actually repel the pests, and they don't seem to. But I think they attract beneficials. So I think science is interesting, and sometimes things aren't the way they
Oh,
look, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little more to it, but it's always interesting. And this is also at UT Gardens. This is at, well, the entrance or exit to the vegetable garden. And if you look up, you can see these loofah. So this is what they make the loofah sponges out of. And so they're just really, they're probably 2 feet, close to 2 feet long at this point. And so as they go on, the skin of them will turn brown, and that's when it's time to harvest them for sponges. A lot of the loofah, if you get them really small, they're edible. So I have actually cooked with loofah, and it's sort of like a zucchini, but a little bit mushier when you cook it.
That doesn't sound appealing.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's good like in a moussaka type thing, or something where you would have it stewed. So, it's not something where you want it crisp. It's not gonna hold up. Though I think you can stir fry it and get a different texture out of it. But that is the end of the slideshow for today. So let me stop sharing. And I need to do something I almost never do. I need to take a really short break and let you guys talk gardening for just a moment, and I will be back.
Okay.
I look up resources on the show to post and comments and for people who want to do a deeper dive. And I'm having a really strange thing happening this week where I'm looking up resources from Tennessee, UT Extension, and it's taking me to Vote for the Pig and then some site where I have to verify I'm not a human. I mean, I am a human. And then that pops up something else about somebody wanting to send me notifications. So if you're looking for UT Extension guides and publications, be a little cautious. I work in the office that produces them, and I'm going to talk to them on Monday. In fact, I'm going to email them over the weekend to say, what is going on, folks? Uh, but yeah, not too many UT Extension resources this week.
Right. Well, I'm at the farmer's market or working at the fair right now. If I don't have a specific handout to share with someone, I will tell them, look, what I want you to do is care for, just loofah, care for loofah or growing loofah dot extension. Do not leave that open, because if you do, just say growing loofah, you'll get a whole world of hits and other information, and any research-based information right here will be buried under that responses in there. But I tell them, if you go, I like say, caring for or growing loofah dot extension right there, you'll get research-based information. That greatly cuts down on the stuff that you have to fish through. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to drill down further by region. Like I was looking up a
Oh,
resource about
yes.
turtles, and it was pulling up a great page at Indiana, but then it was talking about the two species in Indiana, which has no relevance to us. So it's interesting. UT has put a lot of their extension publications as PDFs up on the web, and they're not that easy to find as PDFs, but they are now committed to converting them to HTML too. And there's something like 83 current extension publications as PDFs that they're going to be converting over. So look
Hmm.
for that ahead.
Yeah.
I know we've got lots of great resources in the Tennessee Home Fruit and Vegetable
Right.
calendar, but those don't always show up with searches. But going to HTML for that will be helpful.
Yeah. That's good to know right there. Yeah. But like you were just saying, location is very important. When you do a search, even with what we're talking about, get as close to home as you can. You could do North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, maybe in certain cases right there, Georgia. But don't be going over like to the West Coast or something like that right there and then picking up there already. There's nothing wrong with reading it, but keep in mind that is for that zone or
Yeah.
over at that part of the country there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once in a while,
went to a lot.
Minnesota, I posted a couple that are from Minnesota because Minnesota has just really great
Mhm.
like info, University of Minnesota extension.
Yes.
So I publish those, but a lot of times like the seasonal time as well.
Right. Yes.
Because things are gonna, it's gonna be colder a lot sooner. So you gotta, North Carolina has pretty good,
Mhm.
you know,
I've
publications.
got some good stuff from Maryland.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's surprising. What is it? Maryland is a good deal north of us, but
Yeah.
a lot of Maryland is Zone 7
Hmm. Yeah.
is the ocean.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah.
get the mid-Atlantic weather patterns that are a little bit
Mhm.
different than us, and
Yeah.
sandier soils, I think, at least
Yeah.
parts of the state. But yeah.
Mhm.
Amy, we started this show talking about rain and your broken rain gauge. I
Yes.
had to move my rain gauge. I don't have a full weather station, but I had to move my rain gauge because I wanted to put up a spinner and a garden
Mhm.
spinner. And where I put the rain gauge, I wasn't sure if it was going to be affected by the house because it was closer to the
Mhm.
house.
Yeah.
And I found an app called Rain. Let me make sure I have this. I think it's called, make sure I have it right. Yeah, Raindrop. And
Mm.
it gives me the weather for the rain amounts for my location. And I don't know how it gets it so specific, but it
Huh.
matches my actual rain gauge. And what's nice about Raindrop is if you're lazy and don't want to record the history yourself, you can see what amount of rain you had in the past 12 hours, 24, 36, 48, the past week, the past month. It's great to check that. And also I
Okay.
like that I can look at the rainfall as it happens, as it's
Yeah.
accumulating versus trying to go out to the weather station that somebody might have or my rain gauge.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so I'm
Um,
seeing raindrop. There's a lot of different things listed under raindrop, but I think you're talking about raindrop app.
Yes, I am.
It says
okay.
get
And I'm on a
hyper-local rainfall amounts. That looks cool.
yeah, it's a pay for app and I had a trial
Yeah.
period. And I thought I'll just do the trial period to
Mhm.
calibrate my rain gauge, but I liked it so much I went ahead and paid for it and I do use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a lot of local and national, I want
Mhm.
to say services and along the lines of our weather and rain gauge and stuff. This is part of commercial industrial works right there. Their meters, rain gauge, wind, and other stuff connect to
Mhm.
central professional systems right here to record and produce a picture from a much larger area than just with local weather service or a news group.
Oh, cool.
And you
Oh,
can
with
put that
that
data.
raindrop thing, it looks like you can go online and you can look at what's happening in your zip code. No, that's not as specific for free.
That sounds good. I don't
Yeah.
know how it's so specific to my location because, Brian will tell us the rain will vary quite a bit, even if
Yeah.
it's a zip code.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's been correlating there with my rain gauge, which
Nice.
means
And
next year I probably won't subscribe to it, but I'm enjoying it this year.
mhm. Well, let me
There
share
you
my
go.
screen and I'll show you what I'm seeing just on their website. Because it's really pretty interesting. I think I shared the wrong thing. Yeah, I shared my whole screen. I'm gonna stop sharing. Come on, stop. Let me just share that one window.
Yeah, that's
Then
the
it'll be a
app.
lot easier to see it. There we go. Okay, so if you enter your zip code, and mine's 37772, and it'll show a map of your zip code, which is actually sort of interesting because that's not a thing you regularly see.
Right.
And then rainfall totals for year to date, and then what the average year to date is. That's interesting.
Yep.
And then today and yesterday was like nothing, almost nothing. But look at this. August, we had like 6 inches. In September, it's saying 1.4 so far. Interesting. It also said if you do the map, and I'm somewhere roughly here, it'll tell you, what the rainfall in the past 24 hours is for that location.
Right.
It
So
also
that's
shows
interesting.
historical, so you can see year by year too.
Yeah. Looks
Yeah.
like as you get closer, this direction is closer to the river. As you get closer to the river, you have more rain.
How close are you to the river, Amy?
Less than a mile.
Aha.
Yeah. So the river is like right over here. So I am pretty close to the river. Well,
And a
no,
lot
actually the river is here. I was looking at it wrong.
a lot of the things we're discussing, you can
Yeah.
find free sources for, but you have to dig a little bit harder.
Hmm.
Like
Right.
Weather
Yeah.
Underground would show you the area rain gauges in your area, and you could click on them and get data. So you
Right.
could click around in your county, but you'd have to have a better sense about where your county was. But it's all doable. But if you're
Yeah.
lazy, it's pretty nice to pull up the app, open it, and just
Mhm.
have the stuff there at your fingertips.
Right. Like Weather Underground, I know what my weather station address is.
So for basics, for folks who
Mhm.
are looking at these data,
Yeah.
what are they looking for, especially when it comes to their gardens and watering?
I'm looking for that 1 inch of precip a week, and during hot
Mhm.
periods, I'm making sure it's happening, a couple of times during the week. We're having rain that may accumulate to one inch. And if we
Right.
go through a span of days without it, I'm out there watering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Rainwater is much better than tap water. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, but
More
we can't
nitrogen.
always make rainwater happen.
Yeah.
You can do the dance though, yeah.
Yeah, you can do the dance, but that doesn't always get you anywhere.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 inch, hopefully distributed throughout the week.
Right.
Mhm.
When it's very hot and dry, you want to have that 1 inch at least a few times a week. And if not, you're going to
Yeah.
go out and water. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 And
Oh,
if
yeah.
you have container gardens, you probably have to be a little bit more on it too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes in hot seasons, people are tempted to go out and water like every day,
Mhm.
and it doesn't help your plants because they don't, their roots just kind
Mhm.
of stay. Now, some plants like tomatoes have very shallow root systems, but you want your plants to try to dig in and look for
Right.
water.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And some of the studies have found that tomatoes that are watered not every day, but deeply, periodically,
Right.
have better flavor than the ones that are watered frequently and shallowly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Because
too, when you're watering, even if it sprinkles or rains, depending on your soil, it's interesting. I showed a few, like last month or so, or a couple months ago, I showed the boxes we did in Washington State.
Mhm.
And I put soil in that was it was soil specifically for raised beds. And it had so much coconut coir in it
Mhm.
that when we watered, the water would not get down deep. And so if you stuck your
Mm.
finger in, there was so much soaking up water in the first like couple inches
Oh.
that it wasn't getting down deep enough. So we were like poking holes in it to get water down.
Oh no.
So even
Yeah,
if it
cocoa
does
coir can
rain,
really soak in
depending,
a lot of water.
the nice thing about rain is usually it's going over a long period of time and
Mhm.
it'll give time for that to, but if you're watering by hand, sometimes your water doesn't get down all the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
good to check too.
I know
Yeah.
I
And
was
if
gone for a month and I have some containers that I would
Mhm.
take wine bottles and I would
Mhm.
fill it up with water and then I would poke them way down deep so
Mhm.
that the
Mhm.
water would go really deep
Yeah.
and so that the roots would then go towards the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Okay, we
talking
need
about
to
your,
we need
go
we
ahead,
need to
Brad.
change the subject right here because I'm needing to go water something.
Guys, we've got about 7 more minutes. What are we going to talk about?
Okay.
Oh,
That's
Oh, one of the
Brian.
things I want to mention, we were planning on talking about, sort of what can you do for fall right now? So one of the things I'm looking at is the temperatures are getting cooler. Nighttime temperatures are getting cooler. When the nighttime temperatures are forecasted to go under 50, I am going to pull all the peppers off my pepper plants because they can have under 45 degrees. The quality of your peppers will go down if they're exposed to those kind of temperatures. And so if it's going to go that cold, I'm going to pull my peppers and I'm also going to pull my tomatoes because I have a lot of tomatoes. They can probably ripen inside, but if they've got chill damage from being too chilly, they won't ripen well. And so, you know, I'll at least get usable tomatoes out of them. They might not be as good as if they were stayed on the vine until they started blushing, started turning, but I'll still get good tomatoes. So that's one thing I start really looking at this time of year. Had someone come up at the fair and said, "What kind of greens can I plant right now?"
yeah.
And you can plant most any kind of greens right now. Lettuces, most of them are quick enough so you'll get a harvest before frost. And if we do have an early frost, you can cover them. Kale, collards, all of the brassicas you can put in now if you find plants.
Chinese greens too.
The Chinese greens, the Asian, what is it? The tatsoi, the mizuna, the Chinese cabbage, the bok choys.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are really nice. And a lot of those are really quick growing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty cold tolerant.
Mm-hmm.
Spinach. And most of them, if you don't get a harvest before we have a hard frost, you can cover them. I like using floating row cover, which will give you several degrees of protection, but it also protects them from winds that dry things out.
I posted a resource at the beginning of the show on season extenders,
Oh,
like,
good.
Yes.
and that same resource had fall vegetables and fall greens. So look
Mhm.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if they don't grow enough before it gets too cold and too little sunlight for them to grow much, you end up with an early spring garden
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and not a fall garden. So you haven't lost. It's just you'll get it later.
Right.
I also posted the Tennessee Home Fruit and Vegetable Garden Calendar,
Oh, lovely.
which also, has great resources,
Mhm.
Right.
what you should be planting and doing now.
Yeah.
I
I
really
have. Go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Brian.
no, go ahead,
Um,
Brian.
I set I've got my notebooks down at the fair, and I have one of my vegetable notebook. I have it opened up to the fall vegetable, the old
Mhm.
articles just on
Yes.
fall vegetables and the planting times and other stuff. I still like that. Sometimes, even though we have the garden calendar like y'all are
Yeah.
talking about right here, I like to go to these other slightly older because they give more specific information, especially what people
Yeah.
are asking us about. Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Good
ask,
thing you-
they've pulled a lot of those publications, and I asked why were they pulling them? And some of it is because they they made the mistake of recommending specific varieties.
Mm,
And if you've watched gardening and horticulture for a while, you'll notice that the varieties of vegetables that are available, especially the hybrids, tend to change pretty fast.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
a variety that was really available 5 years ago might be really hard to find now.
Yeah.
And so that's why they pulled some of those publications. And so I did notice a lot of the information in them, they've actually moved into, it's actually referenced in the fruit and veggie calendar, but it's that, it's the second publication on the second page, and it's something B.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
it's
One
the
other
planning
tip
and planting your vegetable garden.
I would add one tip for because it's very unpredictable when it's going to get cold. If
Right.
you want to get a good if you want to hedge your bets,
Mhm.
you can succession plant.
Right.
So, if for lettuces, for example,
Mhm.
plant some and then the next week plant some and the next week plant some.
Right.
And,
Mhm.
some of them are going to get zapped, some of them are going to grow great, and you just kind of hedge your bets that way. The other thing
Yeah.
I would really remind folks, and Margot and I are going to talk about this next week about weeding, but keeping your, as things die off, just remove
Mhm.
it if it's not diseased.
Yeah.
Put it in your compost pile if you have one.
Mhm.
But just when there's a lot of gunk hanging out in the bottom of your garden, dead
Mhm.
stuff, it will not be healthy for your garden. It'll attract, pests, and it's just not a
Yeah.
good idea. And then also note down somewhere, if you're forgetful, note down where you planted your tomatoes, for example, because you don't want to plant
Mhm.
them there again the following year.
Right.
So those are
Yeah.
just a few end of season
Mhm.
tips that sometimes people forget, where did I put my where did I put my this or that last year?
Yeah.
Because you want to move
Yeah.
them around
Crop
and not plant them
rotation,
in the
Yes.
same
Yes.
place.
Yeah.
cover
I just
crop.
got a real quick thing because we're at 10 o'clock now. Some of the best early spring things that you can grow are actually from if you have lettuce and you planted it, it's on the late side, and it just has a few leaves, it'll oftentimes overwinter.
Mm-hmm.
And in early spring, you will get the most beautiful lettuce.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with spinach.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get it planted late, sometimes you get a bonus in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And
Miss Amy,
yes.
on our garden calendar, and so it's
Mhm.
saying, at least for Knoxville, the average first frost date is October 17th. But I want
Mhm.
people to know that is an average. That's not a guarantee. It could be a little bit earlier, but could also be a little bit later than that right there. So what
Yeah,
Miss
it's a
Miss Margot was
50-50,
talking
I
about,
think.
right? Yeah, what Miss
Yeah.
Margot was talking about a few minutes ago, referencing season extenders. That's going to be
Mhm.
a tremendous aid, especially when we get closer to our average frost date.
Mhm. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, last year I did a talk on overwintering. You can grow vegetables in the wintertime. You just have to
Yes.
cover them.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Well, and oftentimes they don't grow much,
no, it's
but you can
very
have them to
slow.
harvest. We're not in places where they tend to absolutely stop growing,
Right.
like
Right.
further north. Our days don't get that short, but they will start growing very, 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 very slowly.
Yeah.
So if
Depends
you,
on your microclimate in your
Mhm.
garden. Like we have a
Yes.
little brick, we have a bump out and
Yeah.
it's brick wall and it's
Right.
very like sheltered.
Mhm.
So it just depends on your garden. And anyway,
Yeah.
I think we're at
And
the top of
what
the
is it?
hour.
I think we're at the top of the hour, so I think we're at the time to stop. But we could talk gardening for days.
Yes, we could.
And at conferences I have, and I don't run out of things to talk about. Um, so if you have questions through the week, you can definitely put them in the group. We do have our photo contest running for another week. And so, what is it? Be sure to add your photos. So that is listed in the featured or announcements, depending on how you're looking at it. And have a great week. Come by the fair and say hi. And happy gardening, everyone. Bye.
Happy gardening.
And I gotta
Bye-bye.
find the right button.